I am so glad to be with you. It's such a treasure. And I want to share a little bit about our theme for today and what I've got planned for this class, and then we'll dive in. So today we are going to be focusing on what in Sanskrit is called Agni, or the inner fire. Sometimes Agni is defined as the divine fire within, the inner glow, the fire in the heart. And so in order to cultivate Agni, it's about kind of building some inner heat. Agni is also refers to in Sanskrit what we call digestive fire, or the fire in the belly, and that which we can kind of engage in or build some heat there to help with literal digestion, to help with the health of our immune system, and also just to reduce stress, to foster a clear and calm mind, so that when we pull the energy down and we actually kind of get some of the energy moving in the belly, the mind gets to be a little bit more rooted, a little bit softer. It doesn't have to spin or work so hard. Some of you may have seen my post from yesterday about sitting here in my yoga space with, some people ask, like, what is that thing above my altar up there by the ceiling? It's a laundry line that pulls out. It's an Australian laundry line that has, kind of 5 lines on it. So sometimes my yoga space turns into a massive laundry. And if any of you are wondering if I have yet matched all of the socks, no, I haven't. They're just on the other side of the computer. Right? So, sometimes that's just where we're practicing, is like in the midst of the messy life, in the midst of just whatever it is. And it's not about achieving perfection, and it's not about making sure that like everything has to be all clean and all cleared up before we can enter our practice. We're going to show up with what is, and whether it's the external mess or the internal mess, that's just what we're present with. And so, it's the invitation, if nothing else, just to be present and to honor what is your truth, and to greet yourself in the most loving and compassionate way. So, if you're new to my class, and there's a few people here that maybe haven't taken with me on our Saturdays, I just want to say that classes vary in terms of intensity. I've got a little bit more built into this one. Listen to your body. If I'm ever offering something where you're like, that doesn't feel good to me, make it your own, adapt it. So you're your teacher. I'm just offering some suggestions, and we'll take it from there. So I think if there's anything else I want to say on this front end, there is. I made a note. Please have some kind of block for this practice. It will be helpful for where we're going. And if you don't have a yoga block, if you want to use a folded up towel or a book, or just get creative with it. We're going to be using it at a few points between the thighs, and I think it's helpful to have something there to really kind of push against. And then when we do it like knee down lunges, I think it's helpful to have something to put your knee down onto. So if you want to even grab a cushion from your couch, or again, that towel or blanket, just something that creates a little bit of a soft landing. So with all of that said, with whatever resonates for you about meeting your own internal light, your own divine fire, or perhaps your own divine mess, whatever resonates there, just take a moment and arrive. And see if you can drop your attention a little bit more internally to notice, what are you bringing with you into this practice? Noticing the physical sensations, areas of ease, maybe areas of tension. Noticing what you're bringing into this practice emotionally, making space. Noticing the quality of your thoughts, whether the mind is racing around, whether the mind feels calm and settled. Again, no right, no wrong. Noticing the quality of your breath. We'll be spending quite a bit of time there today. And perhaps even as soon as you bring attention to the breath, something changes, right? It's hard to notice the breath without feeling an impulse to deepen it or stretch it in some way. And then just noticing the quality of your energy as we begin this practice, whether you feel alert, awake, you're still waking up. For some of you, it's the afternoon, right? Maybe you're feeling sleepy towards the end of the day. And then with this knowledge of these 5 bodies, physical, emotional, mental, breath body, energetic body, with this knowledge of what you're bringing into the practice, perhaps setting an intention for what you would like out of this time together on the mat. Maybe something that you'd like to walk away with a deeper understanding, a deeper sense of union with yourself in some particular area of your life. And then I'll offer up a poem that just let these words wash over. The poem is by Donna Markova. She says, "I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which came to me as seed goes to the next as blossom, and that which came to me as blossom goes on as fruit." To live so that which came to me as seed goes to the next as blossom, and that which came to me as blossom goes on as fruit. Perhaps even reflecting on the seeds that have come to you, the blossoms that have shown up for you, and your own transformational power to take these, transform them, and pass them on in your own ways, in your own lives. Let's dive into practice together. I'm going to shift back onto my mat. And we're going to start with the breath. Shift my view. We are going to start with the breath simply by just noticing what's present for you. We're not going to add Ujjayi for just a moment. I want you to just explore a soft, long breath. That the Ujjayi brings in extra heat, and we're going to do that in a moment quite purposefully. But before we go there, notice what it feels like to not add that extra constriction in the throat. Noticing the open channel as if there was even a quality of a wind tunnel between the heart and the head. And the breath unites the two. And now we'll add in the Ujjayi Pranayama, slight constriction in the throat. It's as if you're fogging up a mirror, right? And allowing that quality of the sound, but we're going to inhale and exhale through the nose. This adds an oceanic layer to the breath. And using the power of your mind, we can then add in intentional breathing, where perhaps when you were scanning your body, you noticed some area of your body that carried a little bit of tension or tightness today, and then send your breath there. If it helps, you might even place your hand or hands over this area of your body, helping to direct your awareness, your attention there. You might even create a little squeeze or contraction around any part of the body. For me, it's my left hip today. Just greeting yourself wherever that shows up in your body. We create a little bit of a squeeze to amplify our attention, and then just letting the physical action go. And you can go back and forth between the two. You might even notice how squeezing back in an area of tightness, whether it's your shoulder, your neck, your chest, right? Any part of your body that might take you into a little bit of organic movement. So we're going to start there, just following the way that you're showing up on your mat guides how you want to move. Now, I've started us in a seated position, but if your body is calling to be in a different shape in gravity, just honoring that. Going toward what's present for you. It's like giving it a greeting, saying hello. And you always can back out. And if it's too much sensation or edging on too much discomfort, you can reorient your attention to some part of the body that feels free, that feels good. Maybe take your breath there and explore how that part of the body wants to move. So you can oscillate between an area of freedom or ease, and then maybe take your attention back to a place of tightness or constriction. And these areas get to communicate. The tightness gets to learn from what it feels like to be free. And the places of freedom can honor where there's constriction without going into denial. So a few more breaths, just honoring your process, whatever that looks like, right? Just it's your body. Eyes can be closed. This is an organic journey. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to center. If you shifted out of sitting, maybe meeting us here, we'll come into some guided movements together, knowing that those organic free flow opportunities are always there for you. As we come into some movements together, I'll guide you into a seated cat-cow. Pretty simple movement. If it's new for you, you can take your hands to your knees or to your shins. Inhaling, drawing your heart forward, your shoulders back. Exhaling, rounding through the spine. Moving with your pace, your rhythm. Maybe that Ujjayi Pranayama, maybe breathing still into those tight spots, those sweet spots. Good. And then a little bit of a change up here. We're going to take the hands and we're going to draw them up overhead. So you might even hook the thumbs here. On the inhale, just allow the shoulders to open. On the exhale, you can curl it down. Now, the range of motion in the shoulders might be a little restricted, and we're just going to greet the edge. Notice how this change in the arms changes how the movement feels throughout the spine. One more like that. And then exhale, we'll release here. So we're going to come into a cobbler's pose. And for any of you that did the mini flow, you'll recognize this little part of our flow today. So cobbler's pose, soles of the feet together. You might butterfly the legs for a moment, just warming up through the hips, the inner thighs. It's a bit of a hip heavy early start to this class, so you can find your own range. Now, if cobblers is really uncomfortable, if your knees are way up here, this is a great opportunity to take a block or a cushion or a folded blanket and to sit on something, right? To bring your hips a little higher. It just is going to change that range of motion in the hips and knees. So exploring for your body. A few more breaths here. Just breathing. You can come into stillness. You might even explore taking the elbows to the inner legs and reaching your spine forward, finding your range of motion in our cobblers. And then we're going to mix it up. So we're going to take the right foot slightly forward of the left. And so it's an uneven cobblers, an uneven position for the hips. And we're going to walk forward once again. Now, what might happen when we change that positioning in the legs is that that range of motion for the forward fold might really open up. I know it does in my body. So you can explore how it feels to just let yourself round forward in this pose. It's an interesting bowing to the self. Forehead might even rest upon that front foot, like closing up the circuit of energy. And then slowly lifting up. We're going to take that right leg around behind. So now right knee is toward the inside of the left foot. And your right foot is tucked back behind in a little bit of a, I don't know exactly how to describe it. If there's a bend and your foot's flexed, how's that? So we're going to find in deer pose here, just a little bit of movement. So you can open your heart, your gaze even to the left, and then sink that right hip back down as you turn towards the right. Let this be guided by your breath, your sensations. If you find a juicy spot, stay there. Maybe find little micro movements into that sensation. And moving with your rhythm here. One more breath. We'll come back out and we're going to take that right foot around, this time holding right foot with your left hand, right knee with your right hand, and we're going to find a little rock of the leg. And there's variations on this one. So you might stay like that, or you might hook that foot into the left elbow crease and wrap your arms around the right shin. So there's no better or worse. Listening to your body, exploring the sensations in your right hip, rocking it through. And then we'll take the right foot forward. So I'm going to go to the side here for a moment. So you might stay a little bit bent. You might explore lengthening. You might take a hold of the calf, the shin. You can explore lengthening through the spine. Some of you might take the foot. Doesn't really matter. Going for what it feels like on the inside. If you're feeling it, you're doing it right. If you're feeling too much pain, back out. Good, and then we're going to lower down here. We'll come back to cobblers. So 2 feet together, been in this shape, just a brief revisit, maybe a reach forward with the heart. You can butterfly the legs. And then we'll switch sides. So left foot is forward of the right. I like to tuck my left heel just into the toes of the right foot and then explore what happens on this side. You might, again, find a new range of motion. You might bow all the way forward, resting your forehead onto your left foot. And then from here, we'll lift up. We're going to shift into the right hip to send that left foot back and behind. So we've got left knee towards the right foot. And in deer pose, so a little bit of hip mobility, finding a little twist of the pelvis that rotates the spine, even the gaze. As with the other side, you might find some little sweet spots to pause, breathe. And then coming back to center, we're going to take that left foot around, taking hold of foot and knee with your 2 hands. You might stay right here, rocking the leg, or you might take foot and elbows to elbow crease, knee to elbow crease, rocking out through the left hip, exploring subtle changes like what happens when you lengthen your spine in this position. How does that change what you're noticing in your left hip? Even if you tuck your chin or lift your chin, the fascia, the connective tissue, it reminds us that, little changes in one area of the body are going to be felt in other areas. Good. And then from here, we'll begin to explore coming into the back of the left leg. So you might keep that knee bent. You might begin to lengthen through the leg, lengthen through the heart and spine. Some of you might take hold of the foot. Good. And then from here, lowering down. So an option to play, if you'd like for a moment, we'll take the right foot as we just did with the left. We're going to take that right foot forward. And again, you might be holding below the leg. You might even use a strap around your foot if you like that. And then you might explore what it's like to bring that foot out to the right. You can take the left arm out to the left, maybe your gaze to the left. And then we're going to come back to center. We're going to switch hands. So taking left hand around the right foot, and then maybe a little twist here as you open out towards the right side. And this can be done with that bent leg. So no reason to push yourself into something that's not working in your body. It's really about greeting sensations, meeting your edge. And then we'll switch out sides. So taking that left foot as we had it just a moment ago, you might extend the leg. You can take it with the left hand and maybe opening out to the left. You can even take hold of the big toe with the fingers as a way to explore this shape. Maybe gazing out to the right. And then we can switch it out, taking hold of the maybe outer blade of that left foot. And then a little twist over towards the left side. Beautiful. We'll come back to center. So now let's take that left shin forward and have it kind of parallel to whatever kind of front edge of a mat you might have there. And we're going to take the right foot on top of the left knee. Now, for some of you, the right knee might be real lifted up. And here's where a block might come in handy, is you can kind of rest that right thigh and knee up on something. For some of you, you might stack that knee closer to the right ankle. We're flexing the feet. It helps protect the knees in this fire logs pose, right? So this is a intense shape. We start to feel a little bit more heat in the hips, and you might stay lifted. And some of you might say, all right, I'm still not quite feeling it, Arielle. And if you're that person, you might be walking forward and folding over the legs. And some of you say, well, I felt it way back here. You're the lucky ones, right? The stiffies don't have to go quite so far in yoga to get sensation. So find your edge. Send your breath there. Notice all those bodies, right? Your physical body, emotions, your breath, your mind, your energy. And then we'll lift up here, and some of you might skip this next step, or some of you might take this into shoelace. Now in shoelace, we're stacking knee above knee. This is a great place where sitting up on a little something, a block, or I have a little cushion, right? Sitting up on something, lifting your hips higher than your knees can be helpful. And if your knees way lifted, you can place that towel or a block between the two. Whatever you're choosing, finding your way, greeting sensations. You might stay in fire logs. You can always come to your back for a supine figure 4. So honoring what's true. Maybe you're finding a little lean forward in this one as well. Some of you might even tuck your chin around your knees, just finding, where does your body want to go? And we'll stay a little bit longer in this shape, and you can do this in shoelace or in fire logs. We're going to find a little bit of a twist toward the right. So I'm not using my hands yet. I'm just allowing that twist to come from the mid-spine, letting the hips be rooted, and then perhaps taking the hands down from there. So kind of a support placement for the hands, but nothing that's aggressive. And then unwinding the twist. One more little playtime here in our shoelace. Your legs are probably feeling it. We're going to lean into the right hand. And you might be leaning into it way up here. You might come down onto your elbow, or even placing your elbow on a block. So finding a little bit of that side bend action, and perhaps taking that left arm out. We're going to turn the thumb down and then take the left hand behind your heart. And with that action in the shoulder, maybe you gaze to the left or gaze down, breathing into the left side of your neck. Perhaps your left hip is talking. One more breath here. And we'll lift up on this side. Let's take both legs out in front and give them a little shake out. Just, whew. You can knock the knees. You can rock the feet back and forth. Windshield wipers. I have this yoga joke. We've got our American style windshield wipers and our European style windshield wipers, the feet going toward each other, right? Let's find the other side. So this time we're taking the right shin parallel. We're creating this little triangle shape with the legs and the pelvis. And then we're taking the left knee across and over the right shin. Do I have this backwards? No, we're correct. We're doing the other side. And so you might, again, have that left knee lifted. It might use a block. You might sit on something, or You might stack knee over ankle. You might find your elbows onto your front shin, or maybe you're folding forward and down. And then slowly lifting up. You might choose to stay here for part 2, or some of you might slide that right knee towards the left, and the left knee is going to stack on top of the right. So our feet are out. You can even flex the feet here. And if your knees are well apart, you can support that top knee. You can check in with your hips and see if you need something under there. And then in our cow face pose or shoelace pose, you might take hold of the feet, you might explore a long spine, or some of you might begin to fold forward. Maybe hooking the chin over the top knee, doesn't matter. See if inside of whatever shape you're choosing, right? You can also take a block, even rest your head on the block, or your forearms onto the block and your head on your hands. So lots of options. See if you can explore in whatever shape you're choosing, if there's any unnecessary holding that you might be able to let go of now. Your jaw, your forehead, your eyes, your tongue, your breath. And then we'll walk it back up. A little bit of a twist here. So without the hands, we're twisting toward the left this time. Just reading your range of motion. And then when you find the place where you naturally stop, letting your hands come down to supporting the shape of the twist. You might take your chin towards your left shoulder. You might even take the chin back to the right. Just exploring it, making it yours. And then unwinding the twist. If your legs are needing a break, take a break. Otherwise, we're going to take our side bend here, leaning into the left hand. Finding your depth, maybe a block under the elbow or the forearm. And you might begin to start to sense more sensation in the right hip. Maybe taking that right arm out. We're going to flip the thumb down and then taking the back of the right hand toward the back of the heart, whatever range of motion is available in that arm. And then exploring here. Maybe you gaze up, maybe you gaze down. Finding some sensation, the workable edge, sending your breath there, maybe into the side of the neck. Okay, using your left hand, helping to push you back up to center, softening your right arm down. You can roll out your shoulders a little bit and unwind the legs. Oh, it feels good. Shake them out. Maybe our windshield wipers, your style. And then we'll take the legs out, pardon me, in front of you. For a reverse table. So in our reverse table, the invitation is to take your fingertips towards your hips, although you can always turn them back, okay? So listening to what serves your body, staying right here. Or maybe pressing into the feet, pressing into the hands, lifting the hips. You can keep the chin tucked here, or you might let the head come slightly back so the gaze is up toward the ceiling. Finding your breath in this shape. And then lowering down for a moment and lifting back up, just a few of these, moving with the breath. Last one like that. And then settling the hips down, we're going to turn the palms out, maybe to an angle towards the sides of the mat. And we're going to find a lifted chest. So some of you did this with me last week or on the recording, and we'll find a breath of fire here. So we're snapping the navel back toward the spine on the exhale, building some of that fire in the belly. And explore this in your body. If it does not feel right, long, deep breathing for you. Inhale deeply here. Exhale. Lifting up, we're going to place the hands behind the knees and drop back just behind your sits bones here. We're going to find a little balance. So of course you can keep your toes on the earth, or maybe take your shins parallel to the earth. We're drawing the shoulders back. We're allowing ourselves to feel the lift of the heart, the support of the belly. We can release the hands if you like, parallel to the legs. A beautiful place to stay. Check in with your breath. Maybe drawing the arms up overhead, maybe lengthening through the legs. It's quite the balance. You might even feel a little shake. Let that happen. And then soften. Let's let that go. Come all the way down onto your back. Bring a block with you, please. And our first shape that we'll take on the back is a variation of half wind removing pose, but we're going to keep the other leg, sole of the foot on the floor. So I'll explain it. We're going to take the left foot up and just draw that shin in towards the belly, grounding into the right foot. A nice, soft, easy way into the digestive system. And then we're going to cross left ankle over the right thigh for a very gentle supine figure four. Now you can always stay here, or if you'd like, placing the palms of your hands on the earth, pressing into the right foot and lifting through your hips. So a one-legged bridge, and feel the action in the right glute, in the right hamstring. Again, you might even notice a little bit of a shaking action, and then slowly lowering the hips, unwind that left foot, and we'll take it into side two. Drawing right knee in, wrapping your hands around the right shin. Pausing here for a few breaths. Massaging the digestive organs. And then taking right ankle over the left thigh. And a lovely place to stay. Pause, breathe. Soften into gravity. We've got a little yin and yang theme going. So here's our yin shake, and our yang version is to press into that left foot, lifting through the left hip. You might even open that right knee a little bit more, feeling the action in the left leg. You can draw that left heel towards the glutes lightly. Maybe a little shake. And then softening to the earth. Releasing the right foot down and grabbing your block. Here we'll take the block between the inner thighs and we'll take the soles of the feet off of the earth. So a good squeezing here, and if you don't have a block, here's your rolled up towel, right? Here's your a book, whatever you need here. And we're going to take the hands behind the head. Inhaling here and exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. You might stay just as you are, or some of you might lengthen the feet up toward the ceiling, flexing your feet, and you can gaze right up toward the ceiling. It's like you're lifting those open elbows, arms like butterfly wings as well, up toward the ceiling. One more like that. And then lowering it down. We're going to take the right thigh over the left and a little bit of an eagle sit up here, an eagle shape. We're going to draw elbows and knees toward each other. Inhale, send them away. Exhale, come to midline. Inhale, open. So here we're in willful practice, right? We're engaging that solar plexus, the third chakra. And then perhaps taking left elbow towards the outside of the right leg. Inhale, send the feet away. Exhale, a little twist. We're generating tapas or heat in the belly. Maybe you're starting to feel that radiate throughout your body. One more like this. And then coming back to center, lowering down, keep your legs as they are for a moment. And we're going to press the hands firmly into the legs. So you can even lengthen, straighten out through your arms. We're going to press the legs back into the hands, hands into the legs. Isometric hold. Make this as hard or as easy as you want it. And then exhale, let go. Draw your knees in. You can take a hold of opposite shins or feet in supine shoelace. We've been here before. Different relationship to gravity. Noticing your heart rate, your breath. Finding the yin after the yang. Nervous system flexibility. And we'll take side two, switching the legs, left over right, hands behind the head. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, lower. Moving with the breath. And then maybe right elbow to the outside of the left thigh. You can find your range of motion so that the feet might press forward as you open and draw everything in as you close. Two more on this side. And then we lower down through the upper body. We'll take that isometric hold once again. Arms are long, we're pressing into that top knee. The legs are pressing towards the hands, hands pressing towards the legs. Maybe you feel a little shake. And then let it go. Woo. Hopefully you're feeling it. I'm certainly feeling it. Let yourself come to hold the ankles or the feet, supine shoelace. Just a few breaths, settling down. Lovely. Unwinding legs. We'll take a hold behind the knees. You might take a few rocks up and over. Eventually, we'll meet in a tabletop. Once you arrive in table, finding it's a little bit of free flow movement. So how does your body want to wake up and move, incorporating the spinal awakening, the work in the hips we've been doing, the core that we've been waking up? And how does this new awareness of your body shape you? How do you integrate it? By listening to sensations, letting them guide your movement. And then we'll meet in a tabletop. So we've been working with some uneven hip positions quite purposefully to try and create some opening in the pelvis and realignment in the pelvis. So we're going to take the left knee forward of the right. Some of you have done this with me before. And we'll start just with a simple cat-cow in the uneven knee position. Just noticing how this feels, the range of motion. And then if you like, you might turn that into some hip circles. You can imagine you're drawing a circle on the wall behind you with your tailbone, and then allow that to widen to your degree of comfort. You can take it in the other direction. And then coming back to center, and we'll switch the knees. So right knee forward of the left, and some basic cat-cow in the uneven knee position. This side might have a different story to tell. Noticing, listening. And then maybe taking this into some hip circles. We'll go each direction. So feeling this out in your body. Maybe a little circle with the tailbone. Finding your range of motion. Going the other direction. And then coming back to center. So we will take the knees under the hips, the hands under the shoulders, and we'll find a balance shape as we take the left leg back and the right hand forward. So this is a pretty strong place to stay. You can find your gaze to help with balance, or you might find some movement. Inhale here, exhale, knee and elbow under the body. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, contract. Inhale. Exhale, send all the breath out. Inhale, reach, pause. Exhale, bend through the left knee. Draw the right arm back. Beautiful place to stay. Some of you might take hold of the left ankle. So exploring this, a half bow shape in tabletop, it's a deep shape. If it's not right for your body, skip it. Listen in. Slowly, without slingshotting, releasing hand, knee, and a little bit of free flow. Integrating that side. Noticing heart rate, noticing breath. Staying in your yoga zone. And we'll switch sides when you're ready, taking right leg back, left arm forward, finding your balance. Either staying here or inhale, exhale under the body. Inhale, reach. Exhale. Inhale, pause. Bending through the right knee, sending left arm back. Lovely place to stay. Reach or maybe take hold. And pressing into the hand with the ankle if you got it. Lovely. Releasing. Back to cat-cow. A few breaths. And I'm turning to face you for this next one, just for kind of visual cues. So we're going to take the right leg out towards the right and press back up so that we're on one knee, one foot. And then taking the arms up overhead, we'll take a hold of the left wrist and just allow yourself to breathe over toward the right side. Releasing hold of the wrist, up and over and around, planting left hand, and we'll find a supported side plank. So you can ground into the right foot, reach through the right fingertips, and either staying here or some of you might shift weight into knee and hand, lifting right foot off the earth. Inhale and exhale, taking knee to elbow. Inhale to open, exhale, draw it in. One more opening here. Exhale, we're going to bend through the right knee. I'll show this here. And maybe take the right hand back, okay? And then we're taking a little half bow shape from our gate. Balancing left hand, left shin and knee. All right, let's unwind all of that. We'll find it on side two. Grounding into the hands. This time it's the left leg out to the side. Lifting up here. We're going to take hold of the right wrist. Up and around. Toward the left foot. And then up and over, planting the right hand, pausing here in a supported side plank, grounding into the left foot, reaching through the left fingertips. And then from here, maybe lifting that left leg. Inhale and exhale. Moving with the breath. Beautiful. We open it up. You might stay here. You might bend into that left leg. You might reach the left arm behind. You might stay there, or you might take hold, half bow. Soften and release. Hand to the earth, knee to the earth. And for just a moment, puppy dog, by lowering the chest, keeping the hips lifted, and allowing yourself to rest onto the earth, the chest, the chin, maybe the forehead. And then halfway we lift, walking hands back towards the knees. We're going to use our block once again, and we'll place the block in between the thighs. And then come up into a preparation for a little bit of movement in and out of a half camel. So we're going to plant the hands onto the low back or the buttocks, and then inhale, we lift through the heart, we squeeze the block. And exhale, just letting the hands, the shoulders, the head release down. Inhale, we open the throat. Exhale, we draw it forward. Does not need to be a wide range of motion. Follow your body. Squeezing the block, lifting through the heart, opening the chest. Exhale. And we're going to keep the block as it is as we walk the hands forward, curl the toes under, and taking the block with you into downward facing dog. So the block's going to restrict our range of motion just a little bit, just temporarily, allowing yourself to really feel that squeeze into midline in this shape. Engaging and squeezing here, you might notice a little bit of a different activation in the muscles of the legs. You might even feel a little bit of that little tremble. That's a good sign. Removing energy. And then see if you can do this. Keep the block and just walk your feet forward into a forward fold. If the block drops out, you'll use it again. You'll stick it back. And then with a forward fold, it's allowing yourself to kind of find your way in. You can have a little bend in the knees even if the block is there, but explore lengthening through the spine. And if you have two blocks, you might even take a second block under your hands, or you can use a chair or the side of a couch. Now, we're not here too long. You'll notice that with the block, the feet are naturally a bit more like hip width apart. We're going to keep that for this next transition. We're going to bend the knees deeply. We're going to engage the core, and we're going to send the arms back. So it doesn't take long to feel this, right? Woo! Squeezing the block, engaging the core, bending the knees, either staying right here or drawing the arms forward. Let your breath rise up to meet the shape. Are we building some inner heat? You feel the Agni, your tapas, the inner fire? Okay, pressing into the feet, we're going to come up to standing with a long spine, all the way up, whew, and releasing the hands. We still have our block. So, just a moment. Finding your way. Once you arrive in standing, maybe hand over your heart. You might be sensing your heartbeat. And then let's keep our block here for our first round of standing side bend. So we'll take the hold of the wrist again, right hand around left wrist. Let's come over towards the right. Feel what happens as you're stabilized through the pelvis, squeezing the block. And then through center, taking left hand to right wrist, up and over to the left. Now, it's your practice. If this is not working for you, find your own variations, make it yours. We'll do that one more time each side, coming through center, taking hold of left wrist, up and over to the right. Maybe you gaze down or forward or up. And then up through center, switching the grip in the hands, up and over to the left. Give that block one more squeeze. And then up through center, inhaling here. It's fun to walk with the block. And exhale, let's forward fold. Let's release the block here. So just noticing now, forward folding without the block, what's a little different. We'll find a halfway lift, lengthen, find that strong core, exhale, fold, plant the hands, and we'll step back to a high plank position. Maybe still that feeling here of drawing the inner thighs towards each other as if the imaginary block now could be kind of pressed up toward the ceiling. And then lowering knees. Bending at the elbows, lowering your chest, lowering your chin, and then sinking your hips down to the earth. Finding a few cobras here, planting hands under shoulders. Inhale, your range of motion. Exhale to lower. You get to choose how much weight in the hands, how much lift of the heart. And when you're ready, making your way to downward dog, you might press through tabletop, you might even press through plank and press back. So you get to choose your challenge. And I think that word choice is so key here. I got some inner heat going. It feels good on a chilly morning here in Colorado, and we're warming up. So in our downward dog this time, a little more mobility options without the block. You might bend one knee and then the other. You might even rock your heels from side to side, alternately bending your knee, or you can even bend into both knees as you drop your heels side to side. And then coming back to center. So by request, we have a little bit of a tiger pounce action here. So let's find our crouching tiger, bending into the knees, a little bend in the elbows. You might gaze forward, really feel your tailbone, your sacrum alive and active in this shape. Your feet awake, your palms awake. You've got little tiger claws gripping the mat. And then we can use this to make our way to the front. You can always step to the front, or if you like, a little pounce, taking your feet forward. We'll practice it again in a moment, but for now, finding your forward fold. Inhale, finding a halfway lift. Exhale to fold in. And inhale all the way up to standing. Taking hold of the left wrist. Inhale up and over to the right. Inhale, center, switching the hands. Up and over to the left. This time from center, opening the elbows, lifting the heart. And exhale, releasing your hands behind the sacrum for Yogi Mudra. Drawing the hands down, once again, a little lift of the heart. And exhale, forward fold, head below the heart, clasped hands up towards the ceiling, nodding the head, yes, shaking it, no, stretching your face wide, scrunching it tight, opening up all of those little muscles of the jaw and around the eyes, around the tongue. Let your voice go. Sigh something out. Maybe you figure eight your head here, nod it yes, shake it no. And then by way of your sacrum, releasing hands down to the earth. Inhale, we'll find a halfway lift. And exhale, your way to downward dog. You might step back, you might hop back, you can lower halfway, you might move through cobra or even a chaturanga to upward facing dog. Totally up to you, eventually meeting in downward dog. So as promised, we have a second option here for that pounce forward. So we'll make our way into a crouching tiger version of down dog. So allowing yourself to feel that freedom of movement, gazing forward, and then making your way toward the front of the mat. However you want to get there, your practice. So eventually finding a halfway lift, a forward fold, and we'll meet up in standing. So if you're like me and your heart rate is going a little bit, and I've also been talking through this, maybe take a moment, just allowing yourself to feel the earth beneath your feet. I'll invite that wide-legged stance, knees slightly bent, so that you feel your foundation firm and wide and supportive. We can settle into the yin to balance out the yang of this practice. The intensity gets to be modulated. Knowing you can always dial up or dial down any practice. When you're ready, we'll meet the next layer of intensity. Feel it out for yourself. We're going to come into a hip width distance Utkatasana. Now, if you want, you can use that block again. It can be a nice support for this variation. So listen to what's working in your body. We're going to draw the arms forward, and as we've been doing, we're going to take hold of the wrist. So this time, right hand taking that left wrist, breathing into the shoulders, breathing into the intensity of the shape in the hips, right? This is intense standing pose, intense nearly seated pose, sometimes referred to as lightning bolt pose. And then we're just going to draw the hands back, and the exhale, inhale, let's switch the hold, grasping the opposite wrist, using the block or without the block, feeling the support, the strength of the legs. And then pressing into the feet up to standing, exhale, forward fold, you can release the block. Inhale halfway and your way to downward dog. So I'll talk you through a jump back if you want that. So here we're finding the opposite of our crouching tiger forward. We're bending the legs, we're gazing forward, bending the elbows to press back. We land in a crocodile shape. We land in this half Shavasana, and then maybe inhale, upward dog. Pressing back, downward dog. So these are just playful options, nothing forced. In your down dog, we'll explore a little twist under the body. So shortening the stance, taking the hands a good handprint or two closer to the feet, and then drawing the right arm under the body to take hold of your left calf. And then you can lengthen through that leg using the right hand, right shoulder to take your gaze under the left armpit. Let's unwind and find the other side, planting the right hand, taking the left hand under the body, holding the right calf or ankle, using the strength of the arm, gazing underneath, finding the twist in the spine. And then unwind here. From our downward dog, you can lengthen your stance again, and then inhale, free your right leg. Exhale under the body. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze it in like we did in cat-cow. Inhale, lengthen. It's the same action. We then gaze forward and step the right foot forward and through. Okay, so you might lift and lower a little bit. Just some organic movements. Eventually, we can lower down that left knee, perhaps to some padding, right? And you can slide that left leg back enough so that you're not on top of the knee, but you're above the knee, the base of the front of the thigh here. And then you can explore here, just finding a lifted shape. You can also find a little bit of mobility as we send the hips back and then forward. Maybe again, send those tail feathers back and then forward. From this forward shape, we'll then lift up here and allow your hands to take that same grip that we've been working with. So right hand, left wrist, and then as you deepen into that lunge forward, explore how it feels to take a little bit of that side bend toward the right. You might begin to feel this in the front of the left hip flexor or psoas. Find your range of motion. And then slowly unwinding down to the earth. We're not quite done on this side. We're going to tuck the left toes under and lift through the left knee. And then from here, we'll find a little open twist. So taking your right hand either to the top of the right thigh or to your sacrum. And what's lovely about taking it to the sacrum is that I want you to imagine that you could put a little teacup on your sacrum, and we're not going to spill that tea. So we're keeping the pelvis nice and stable as we twist through the mid-spine toward the right. Feeling the strength in your left leg. Maybe the right fingertips reach toward the ceiling. And exhale, releasing the right hand down. And now we'll step back, right foot to the left. You can walk it out for a moment. And then we'll lift the left leg. Inhale. Exhale, we're drawing it to the nose, to the chin. Inhale, reach. Squeeze it in tight. Inhale, reach. Same action in the belly to step the foot forward and through. And if you need your hand to help it get there, that's just fine. And then a breath here, just to lift and lower. Eventually settling right knee towards the earth. Finding your way in once again. You can shift the hips back and forward. Perhaps you notice the left hamstring, left glutes. And then eventually we'll find a lift up on this side. We're going to take the right wrist with the left hand. And then as we draw the hips forward, we begin to find a little side bend here towards the left. Breathing into the hip flexor on the right leg. Perhaps you sense this in the meat of the belly. And then back through, lift it up, lowering the hands. Not quite done on this side. We're going to lift the right knee. And this is a fine place to stay, or you might explore taking left hand to the left thigh, maybe to the sacrum, checking that that pelvis stays nice and stable as we twist through the mid-spine. So this is a good place to remain, or maybe you lengthen the left arm towards the sky. Maybe your gaze follows. And then slowly soften, hand releases down, left foot steps back to meet the right. We'll take one more opportunity here to pounce forward if you'd like. You can bend through the knees, gazing forward, making your way to the front. Finding a halfway lift, lengthen the spine. Exhale, we're folding in. And coming all the way up to standing. Exhale. We'll have one more little standing flow here before we make our way back into a restorative ending shapes. But an invitation to work with that block one more time in Utkatasana. So we're stabilizing through the low body, letting the sacrum be nice and stable here. And then inhale, we're gonna start with the arms lifted. We can take a hold of that left wrist. You might be getting used to this one by now. We've had it in a few classes recently. And then on an exhale, we're gonna take left elbow to the outside of the left thigh. So I've been playing with a new hand position in this. Rather than being palm to palm, it can feel good on the wrists to make a fist with the left hand and then kind of insert the knuckles of the right hand on top of the left. The wrists are now straight. So exploring your body. We've got a lot of actions going on, squeezing the block, lengthening the spine, twisting the spine, using the hands as you need to. And then we'll unwind here, lifting up, taking a hold of the right wrist with the left hand. And on an exhale, right elbow around to the outside of the left. You can explore that grip if you'd like, fist in the right hand, kind of inserting knuckles to knuckles, kind of into the little spaces. It's not bone to bone, it's finding those little creases. Exploring whether your gaze wants to be down to the side or up. Feeling the inner fire. Good. Inhale, let's unwind here. Exhale, let's forward fold. Releasing your block if you've got it. Finding a halfway lift, inhale. And exhale your way to downward dog. From downward facing dog, we'll inhale the right leg back and behind. Exhaling forward and through. So it's always an option to do what we did last time, right? Or you might lower the knee down. We might take the arms up, taking a hold of that left wrist. You can always stay here. Or we take that same twisting action, left elbow to the outside of the right knee, maybe finding that position of straightening through the wrists. And perhaps from here, tucking the left toes under and lifting the left knee. So like we did before, we're finding a twist, but we're finding evenness in the sacrum, feeling it from the inside out, letting the twist happen from your mid-spine. And then nice and stable in the legs, we're gonna lift up from here into a twisted crescent, opening to the right, and then let your arms flow you around to face the front, warrior two. Now, once you arrive in your warrior two, let's just move with the breath, freeing the arms, and then let's inhale, exhale. Inhale from base of spine to heart. Exhale, coming in and out of the lunge. One more time. So arriving in this shape, you might still find some of the subtle movements inside. And then on an inhale, we'll reach away from the front bent leg. On an exhale, we'll come toward extended side angle. So you might have the forearm onto the thigh and left arm up overhead. You might take a block down and place your hand on the block, exploring. You might lift and lower a little bit in this shape. Once again, your gaze might be down ahead of you, under the left armpit, or towards the left fingertips. And then from here, maybe begin to lengthen through that right leg. So if you're here and you're lengthening, you can take your hand onto your shin, again, maybe the block. And then a little variation in our triangle today. So traditionally, left arm is straight up. I'll invite you to explore taking it overhead, like a combo of that extended side angle and Trikonasana. Finding the breath. Softening the gaze, softening into the front knee, and we'll just come right down to the earth from there. Stepping right foot back to the left. Maybe you walk it out for a moment. Maybe you rest for just a few breaths in child's pose. Whatever you need to create a balanced practice. And when you are ready, we'll find side two, left leg to lift, and stepping forward and through. Once again, we're starting with the knee down. It begins as we've already explored, lifting up here, taking hold of the right wrist, a little bit of that side bend. And then we're taking right elbow to the outside of that left knee, maybe stacking knuckles into knuckle creases. Maybe right toes curl under. Maybe lifting that left leg. Your gaze might be down, nice and stable, to the side or lifted. And we'll take this tricky transition up to standing. If you need to lower the knee first, do so. Otherwise, we open the arms and we're opening into a twisted crescent. Here we are. And then we're gonna let the arms spin us around to warrior two. So as we did on the first side, we'll take a little breath Kriya here in our warrior two. So moving breath and movement together. We inhale, exhale. You might even bring the gaze forward, hands to heart. Exhale, gazing over the left fingertips. Moving with the breath, moving with ease. And then pausing here in your warrior two. The goal of all of this asana practice is to find the effortlessness inside of the effort of these poses. See what you might explore shifting to find a little bit more ease, even in a challenging shape. Well, inhale, breathing away. I'm gonna grab a block, and exhale, we'll find our way into a extended side angle. So again, the forearm might be on the thigh. You can keep that right hand on the right hip, or maybe you take the arm overhead. Maybe you take a hand to a block. So your practice. Like we did earlier with the knee down, we're really feeling that long line of the side body. And then maybe from here, begin to explore lengthening through that front leg. So you might have a hand on a block, the shin, you might be quite lifted, all good, all welcome. And then with a hand either straight up, or if you took this variation, taking right arm up overhead, feeling that long line of energy once again, right side body. When you're ready, softening the gaze, softening through your left knee, making your way to the earth, planting your hands, and left foot can step back to meet the right. From our downward dog, we are going to lower the knees and we'll shift our hips to the side, bringing legs out in front for a seated forward fold. And it can be nice to take a moment to kind of lift out any of the flesh between your sits bones in the mat so that you feel nice and rooted here. And you can always practice this with a little knee bend or drawing your arms up overhead. We find our way forward, taking hold of wherever your hands land. Could be your shins, your ankles, your feet. Maybe from there, you press your feet forward and begin to lengthen through the backs of the legs. Maybe you use a little bit of a block here and just rest your head or your chest onto something. Wherever you arrive, softening. This is a receptive asana. It's a receptive state. It's one of surrender. It's the moon side. And then slowly, slowly walking yourself up, bending into the knees. And this might be a nice place to grab a layer if you need some warmth, or a blanket to place over you as you arrive down on your mat. Once you arrive on your back, an opportunity to explore a happy baby pose. Drawing your knees in. And one version of happy baby that I really like is to widen the knees and just grab hold of the ankles and just let the knees hammock outward. So you've got a little bit of a hold here of the legs, and the legs just get to soften. That might be a great place to stay. Or holding the ankles or the feet, maybe you extend the feet up towards the ceiling. You might find stillness, or just like the happy baby, begin to explore, how does your body want to move in space, reaching one leg and then the other, maybe reaching out through both legs. And eventually releasing the feet, hugging both knees in towards your chest. Feeling that final compression across the digestive organs of your body. Maybe you rock slightly side to side. And then one leg at a time, lengthening your legs down to the earth. You can widen the feet, let them flop out to the sides, widen your arms, palms up towards the sky. We'll take just a few minutes here. Receiving your practice, being nourished by the movement of energy, the heat that you've cultivated, your brilliant, wise body that has this built-in intrinsic drive to heal itself. As you rest in this final shape, I will return to our poem for the day. I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which came to me as a seed, to live so that which came to me as a seed goes to the next as blossom. And that which came to me as blossom goes on as fruit. You are always welcome to stay longer in your Shavasana if you are ready or in need of moving on with your day. Beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes, rotating hands around the wrists, feet around the ankles. Maybe drawing your knees in towards your chest. And you can rock to one side or rock on your spine. Eventually, if you'd like, returning back to sitting. We'll do an official closeout of our class, just a final pause. I'll invite two things to reflect on as we come to close. One is the intention that you set. What brought you to your mat? What are you hoping to take away? And second, I invite you to check in with the part of your body that maybe was talking to you at the beginning, maybe that area of tension, and just see if something's changed. Just honoring, taking note, allowing yourself to register those positive shifts, for that in itself is a powerful act of resilience. In great gratitude to you all, bowing head to heart, namaste.